Hi, welcome to Box on the Box, Rock and Celluloid, Bok for short. I'm over Box. So I've got an new album review for you today, and it's Meglomanium 2 by ECLIPSE. So last year, ECLIPSE did Meglomanium, and then it was revealed that they were doing a second album, so releasing 2 albums in the space of about 12 months, no mean feat. So the main songwriter, Eric Martinson, is well known in melodic rock circles, a bit of a whiz when it comes to songwriting. He's also written songs for Jimmy Jamison. He also works on other projects like Wet, and I forget what the other one's called, but he's got a few things, irons in the fire. So I've been an ECLIPSE fan for a while, and I was lucky enough to see him at the Stone Dead Festival a few months ago, and they didn't disappoint. What I will say is that I found their albums a bit more samey recently. I have this sort of theory that you know, you maybe don't need every ECLIPSE album. You know, a few will do. And then you can just pick the tracks you like. Looking at other reviews of this album, it's getting rave reviews. I'll come to what I think of it. Ultimately, ECLIPSE are the kind of band, they're not going to make a bad record. They've got a kind of set thing they kind of stick to, and it's very effective, right down to the kind of production which they've honed, the vocal stylings, the types of guitar sounds, guitar parts they use. And they've pretty much been doing this since the Paradigm album. Where they've kind of found the most recent sound. So prior to this record, they did an album called Are You Ready to Rock, which was their first proper album. Before that was 2 other albums, but they were in a different style, and you can find them on YouTube, but they've kind of discarded them. Are You Ready to Rock actually got remixed, but I describe it as melodic hard rock metal with quite a bit of a Whitesnake 87 vibe. At this point, they were very much leaders in the sort of Swedish melodic rock scene, and still are, along with Heat. If you think about 2008, that's when they appeared. And I think really that was on the back of like the 90s, with things like Dennis Pop and Max Martin. I think the melodic element of the melodic rock Swedish thing comes from that. Obviously the rock stylings of it come from bands like Europe, and Bon Jovi and Whitesnake and so on. But anyway, so the Are You Ready to Rock album, it was like that, and then they did Bleeding Scream in 2011, which was a real mark-up from it, and that's when I first discovered them. So they had a great title track on that, track called SOS. Battle, I forget the title of the track. It was a track on the album, it's kind of more in the Gary Moore vein, so there's a bit of Celtic influence there. And then they did the next album, Armageddon Nights, which I think is probably their most consistent record for me. Again, it just builds on the Bleed and Scream thing. It's just a fraction more consistent. It's got a great up-tempo and good love bites on it. Only the Good Die Young, I think. Very good record, really good production. The album after that, Monumentum, had their best production ever, and one of their very best songs, the last track, was called Black Rain. But I found that record, it had some brilliant tracks, but I found some of the tracks a bit samey. And I found with the next album, Paradigm, as well, but that does contain their biggest hit, which has a lot of streams, which is called Viva La Victoria. And at this point, they were sort of commercialising the sound a bit more, a little less ripping guitars. And started to bring in what I call kind of pirate kind of themes, I call them, kind of Celtic themes. This is very effective, it was obviously working for them. And then they did the Wired album, which was sort of more the same, but again, had 2 of my very favourite tracks, one of them, Bite the Bullet, which has got great riffing on it. And the last track on the album, I can't remember the title of it, it's really good. Then they did Meglomanium 1, which, you know, I thought was good, but I didn't like as much as the early stuff. And I kind of feel the same about this. So I'm going to go through the tracks, and I'll give you my opinion. It opens with Apocalypse Blues. This track's been out a while as a video. I think it's a really strong opener. It's got a really sort of classic type of ECLIPSE riff. It's got a good bridge section lifted into the chorus. It's like 3 minutes 26, you know. The other thing is Eric Martinson's really, and Magnus Henriksson, the guitarist, are very careful about their arrangements. They almost give you less than you need, really. You have very short guitar solos, sometimes 15, 20 seconds long, and they strip down songs to their bare essentials. So this album's 11 tracks and it's under 40 minutes. I think it's the shortest ECLIPSE album to date. Anyway, good opener. Then you got the Spark. Now I don't like this. This is too pop punk for me. So this is something that's been kind of emerging within the band. Certainly on this album a lot more. Maybe the last one. And it's just not my cup of tea, but that doesn't mean it won't be for other people, but I'm not into that. Then there's Falling to My Knees track 3. Again, this is a step up. This is a single as well. Only 2 minutes 59 this track, maybe a bit less. Very catchy chorus. Good track. Again, track 4's All I Want. My notes here, pop punk vibe, whoa, whoa's at the end. Yeah, it's just too pop punk for me, influence. It's not a genre I like. So, but, you know, if you're going to write in this genre, it's got crossover potential. So I can see these types of tracks can broaden Eclipse's audience. It's very difficult now to get more popular for bands. So Eclipse are kind of building their audience, and this is their 7th proper album, no, their 8th, sorry. I think, and then you've got the 2 they kind of discarded, so they've already done 10 albums. Anyway, then you've got Still My Hero. This is a really kind of top kind of Eclipse track. It's a really melodic sort of ballad-y element. It's got a nice melodic guitar line in it. It's one of the things about Eclipse is they make really good use of different guitar tones. They'll have a really ripping rhythm guitar, and it really pushes the kind of bass response and almost explodes out of the speaker, but they'll have kind of cleaner, semi-distorted tones. Check out a song called, like I mentioned before, Bite the Bullet. Check out the middle section on that with the kind of Morricone style guitars. Absolutely fantastic. So this is a really good track. Nice lyrics about his father. Very good. Next up, we got Dive Into You. It's an emotional pop ballad, slow pumping plod I've put. And I don't mean that derogatorily, but there's quite a few songs of boom, dun, 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 dun. Eclipse on a big bottom end, have quite a clanky bass. And then their drum sound, the snare sound in particular, is very heavily compressed. So it's quite kind of thuddy, but kind of controlled. So again, this is a catchy track. It's good. I'm not totally like into it, but it is decent. And that's the same for Until the War Is Over. This is track number 7. Again, 3 minutes 31, another short track. This has got one of the pirate themes, as I call them, on it. For the next really corking track is Divide and Conquer. It's got ripping guitar solo from Magnus Henriksson, a great player. The guitar sound at the start of this is very good. It's more like old school Eclipse. This is more like a track you would find on the Bleed and Scream, the Armageddon Eyes, and the Monumentum albums, I would say. Then you got Pieces. Again, this is an up-tempo track, and it uses what called pop punk octaves. So in the pop punk genre, you get octave parts, and it's utilising that, and Eclipse use that quite effectively. Again, I'm not mad on this track, but it is good. Track 10, To Say Goodbye. There's a cool clanky bass at the start, but again, it's got a similar sort of pumping groove to other tracks. This is one I'm not as keen on. And then in Eclipse style, the finish is one of the very best track, maybe the best track on the album. It's called One in a Million. This is a bit longer. It's 5 minutes 42, so taking its place alongside Black Rain, and so on. This is really good. Again, ripping guitar, really good bridge, really good chorus, great structures, a nice half-time bit in the middle, and he goes into double time at the end. So a bit more variety with this. I think with the longer running time of this track, it can stretch out more. So for me on this album, you know, there's 3 tracks that really, really stand out, plus a couple of others that are really strong. The other tracks, 2 of them I don't like, the other ones I can, you know, they're canny. So for me, it's kind of like, it's like the Eclipse albums that have been more recently since Paradigm. Again, I'm probably in the minority of this. I still think it's a good record. I still think Eclipse, you know, to pick up fans, you're going to find tracks you really like on here. For me, I prefer the consistency of their early records, but when a band's been putting out this amount of albums, it's about building sort of track, playlist, tracks, to so to speak, that you're going to be able to play live and people are going to know. When I went to the Stone Dead Festival, the band actually played more later stuff rather than some early stuff I liked more, but I could see why that happened because they've been building their audience a lot since the Bleeding Scream and the Armageddon Eyes albums. But so, in summarising, if you love the last few Eclipse albums, you won't be disappointed. You might like this the best, you might like it less than one before, but you're not going to be disappointed. If you've never heard Eclipse before, you could start here, or you go, I'm going to get Meglomanium 2. Or you might go, I'm going to go back and I'm going to listen to some slightly sort of heavier Whitesnake-y Eclipse, and then, you know, delve in beyond there. And that's what I'd say. So You know, a top band, no doubt about it. One of the best bands out at the moment. Still doing it. Great live, great recording, producing good tracks. Like I say, this album, I do like it. I just don't love it. But I kind of knew that when I'd heard the sort of tracks that were initially released. I thought, well, this is going to be a good Eclipse album, but I'm still always going to prefer those earlier, heavier albums. Okay, so remember to share and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.